All right, everyone. Welcome to our weekly business breakthrough. This video is all about supporting you to stand up, speak your truth, live your values, not pull back at this important moment in history. The universe is asking us to shine brighter than ever. And I'm curious, what comes up for you when things can be so unsteady and uncertain, especially online? What's your biggest fear? Is your fear of offending people? Just drop me a comment in the comments thread. I'm about ready to introduce the amazing goddess, sister, love, power queen here with me today. But I want to know so that we can support you and so that we can be in an authentic discussion, whether you're watching us live, whether you're watching the replay. What is your biggest concern? Is it a concern of offending somebody? Is it a concern that you're not going to say the right thing? I know I've felt all of those things in the last few weeks. Is it a concern of just not doing it right? Or maybe it's something totally different. Drop us a word or just a short sentence in the comment thread so we can get a read on where you're at. I want to appreciate all of you who have written in on this topic. And I just want to say welcome. The time is now. Your gift is needed. I'm super excited to get you a few tools today to really continue to align with your highest values in your business now, because we didn't start these businesses to just peddle a factory. Like my friend Claire Zamet says, we didn't start these businesses to peddle a factory full of widgets. We didn't start these businesses to just be cookie cutter replicas of the other people selling what we sell. We started these businesses, for most of us, because we were willing to put our insides on the outside. And I know, Megan, you and I stand, I think it's safe to say that most of us stand against more leaders who get out there and do the politically correct thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think most of us are ready for leaders who are more real, more authentic, more honest, a little bit less scripted, a little bit less robot-like, a little bit less Barbie-like. And I'm, not pointing the finger at anyone, but I'm putting a stake in the ground that your face, your color, like the light that comes through your being is what the world needs now more than ever. And so this incredible beauty next to me today is Megan Neely. She's one of my most incredible favorite clients of all time. I had the honor of supporting her, and she's become one of my dearest, closest friends in the whole world. She's now a queer empowerment coach. She's built a multi-six-figure business. She's supporting thousands of humans around the planet to stand in their healthy choices. Megan, thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you, Sage. I'm so happy to be here with you, and I'm so passionate about this message because really our voices are needed now more than ever as authentic, empowered leaders who are really part of the change that wants to happen. I'm so glad that you're all here with us watching.
Thank you, and congratulations so much for being here. So many of you might be wondering, how do I speak out right now? How do I speak out when I know there's recession on the horizon? People are speaking about an economic downturn. Is it safe to sell? Is it safe to speak my truth? Is it safe to stand up and be anti-racist? Is it safe to stand for gender equality, stand for the LGBTQ plus community, right? I don't want to say things in a way that offend others. And so Megan and I are here to just give you a little bit of a framework around the importance of you continuing to speak up and really tuning into what is yours to say and how to say it in a way that leaves you feeling empowered, right? Because here's the thing. I do want to start out by putting a stake in the ground that being a leader does not mean that you never offend people. Being a leader does not mean that you never piss somebody off. In fact, leadership comes with its fair share of resistance, right? Projection is a natural thing that happens in leadership. We don't want to call it toward us, but we want to see if we can free ourselves a little bit from that judgment. You remember what Madonna says about judgment? Madonna says, the more people judge you, the more money you make. She's like out
Mm-hmm.
cone boobs, right? But it's like, I also think about what Van Jones says. You guys know Van Jones, incredible Black activist. Van Jones says, a standing ovation starts with just one fool standing up. And when we become that one to speak up, to stand out for something that maybe not everybody's talking about, we become that one that starts to spark, right? Spark the standing ovation. And so Megan and I both believe that it's not time to minimize your values in your business, right? You get to choose where you want to be on the spectrum of like being an activist, right? Just because you're an entrepreneur, just because you're a speaker, a public speaker, doesn't mean that you have to be purely activist, right? It's not necessary. But what is necessary is that I believe we use the platforms that we're building to bring forth a truth that the world needs to hear in a way that honors what you do, who your clients are, who your customers are, that you really start to look at where do those two things overlap. And Megan, let's talk a little bit about just that perfection that we think we need to have before we open our mouth to like say the thing.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So when we think we need to be perfect, it often puts a lid on who we really are. Because I don't know about you, but I'm far from perfect. And I say all kinds of things that definitely have offended people. And it also is coming from a place of really being in alignment with my values. And that's what we're talking about today, is when you come from a place of being aligned with your values, really taking a stand for what you believe in and creating more of that reality in the world, then it's time to stand up and just get out there. So that's the first thing. Just get out there, be willing to go live like we're doing right now, have a real conversation, to post, and have an outline. If you're going to go live or if you're going to make a video for your community, just have an outline with some bullet points and a structure, because a template that you can follow is really all you need. And that way you can come alive when you deliver it. You don't have to be so scripted that you're following every word, but you're having that outline. Because what often happens is we get nervous when we're sharing and we're like, what was I going to say? And that's the thing that can stop us so often. So adding that in, and in terms of imperfect visibility and being able to share in that way, I would say people want to know where you stand, because when they're investing in what you're offering and the results that you have, but they're also really seeing you. Like Sage was saying, they're not buying a widget. They want to see you and know you and feel you. And how many of you, just type a yes in the comments below, follow people on social media and you watch them and you see what they're saying or not saying, and that makes an impact on your buying choices. I know it definitely does for me.
100%. And I really want to, I invite you to write this down. Imperfect visibility outperforms hiding, right? Being visible imperfectly is going to outperform you not speaking up because of the fear. Like, you're not a robot. Nobody wants a robot. And so thank you so much for standing for that, Megan. It's time. Like, there's no accident that you actually are starting a business right now. Like, do you think that's do you think that what's going on the planet is an accident, right? It's like the universe actually must have thought that you had the right values and the right intentions to give you the desire, to plant the desire in your heart at this moment, right? No accidents. Your clients are waiting to hear that from you. And I love what you said earlier, Megan, about the pizza place, right? It's like, we here at Women Rocking Business, we stand for women building thriving businesses and launching a movement online, finding their clients and customers online, creating online communities that lift each other up, because we believe collaboration is more important than competition. We believe that it's all about empowerment, not power over. And so it's like we want to avoid pissing people off, but when we share our values and when we're willing to wave that flag, we're going to find the people who want to hear what we have to say, and the people that don't can go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And Megan chose a pizza place the other day because they're anti-racism, right?
Yeah, I was telling Sage right before we hopped on here that my partner and I were driving by, and there was a pizza place that said they're opening on July 1st. And normally I wouldn't be giving it so much attention, but they had, as a member of the queer community, also, I noticed that they had a big rainbow banner across their storefront. And they said, "We're open July 1st, but not for racism and homophobia." And I was like, oh, you just went to the top of my list of places that I want to support now. And do you think they're going to piss some people off, especially in this town where there's a basis of people who could be definitely against queer community for sure, and they don't care. They're willing to risk that business because they want the business that matches their values. And I think for each of us, this is where it's important for you to really get clear on your own values. What do you stand for, and how are you sharing it in a way that people are able to find you and see you? So while you might not have a brick and mortar and a storefront to display on that way, that's the same thing as what we do on social media.
We are living at what has quickly become the biggest overturn of traditional old paradigms that need to die, right? We are actually living in the largest organically ignited revolution in this moment. And so I love what you're speaking to, Megan, because it's like, are you willing to risk losing the people who wouldn't necessarily be your people anyway? Mm-hmm. To stand even more carefully and even more proudly for the people who are your people, right? And so as you are really asking what is yours to say, right, we think about, who are your clients? Are they moms? Are they entrepreneurs? Are they, healers? Is it the queer community? Who are you serving? And then how do you bring your values, and how do you bring the stand that you want to take to that conversation? Here at Women Rocking Business, we've built a multi-7-figure business on women's values, and that doesn't just mean, it doesn't just mean one type of woman. It's anybody who identifies as a woman, anyone who just identifies as a woman, because the women's values that we've built the company on are collaboration, not competition, resource sharing rather than resource extraction. And so as I've asked myself, what is mine to say? What is mine to say is the direction that gives women entrepreneurs a voice to overlap their business with their values. Right? If you're pissed off about something, if you're thinking about something, if you're churning about something, if you feel fired up on behalf of love, on behalf of equality, on behalf of children being raised in an anti-racism environment, if you feel fired up about that, now's not the time to keep quiet. It's not the time to pull back. It's not the time to be, G-rated, right? It's not the time to kind of be like a plastic version of yourself, right? It's the time to go out there and raise your vibe. We've all heard the quote, your vibe attracts your tribe, right? Like, go out there and do the thing. I was just in the ocean this morning. Go out there and do the thing that gets you feeling like the full amazing expression of who you are. And for me, when the diversity conversation started and I didn't quite know what was mine to say, I borrowed other people's words. I borrowed my dear friend Reverend Deborah's words. I borrowed her words, and her phrase was, "I no longer believe that it's enough to be against racism. I believe it's a time when as many of us as possible can stand up and be anti-racist." And so that was her phrase. I decided to use it because it resonated with me. And that was kind of like a portal into me being able to find my own expression of like every color of the frickin' rainbow. Can you imagine walking into a forest and having only birch trees? Like, hello, like the diversity of the ecosystem is what makes it magical. And so I invite you to borrow the words of somebody that you trust, somebody that you look to as an inroad into the thing that you really want to say, and go say it. And then continue to ask, what do my people need to hear from me? So that they can go and be the best moms ever, so they can go and be the best leaders ever, so they can go and create the most incredible relationships ever. What if you're a relationship mentor, what part of the diversity conversation overlaps with relationships and love and being able to speak freely with your partner, right? To do some brainstorming about that and bring that, because we all know that being current with your message, it's going to rank you in the search engines. It's going to help you get YouTube views. It's going to help you get views on social media. It's going to help the chance of your video being shared. It's current, it's relevant. You're tapping into the zeitgeist, which is a big part of why really good marketing goes viral. And so again, not just to open your mouth and express because it's the right thing to do, but that your message will have a life of its own and will be shared, right? The intention is that, your message can go be shared by the people who want their friends to hear it. And that's how we together link arms and change the planet, because it's no longer a small group of people sitting in a certain white colored house that's going to change the planet. It's us. We are the ones we've been waiting for. So, Megan, I'm just curious, your opinion too on this piece around how vulnerable do we get? Like, what's the line there?
Yeah, so being real, being open, and being vulnerable is so much more attractive than performing. So stay out of performance mode. Really just imagine that you're sitting around your dining room table, your kitchen table, you're relaxed, you're talking with friends, you're having a conversation, and you're really, when I drop into feeling that way, I'm connected to my heart. I'm connected to my values. I'm not worried about how everyone's going to perceive me out there. I just feel connected in myself. And then it's going to be a lot easier to go live and have that kind of conversation. So really getting on their level, and also make your content relevant to your audience. So like we're doing at Women Rocking Business and business coaching for women entrepreneurs. This conversation is relevant to you and your message and how you get to stand up and stand out. And that's how we link back the conversation. So when you're doing your own Facebook Lives and your own trainings, how are you linking back your values to your people?
100%. And so many of you have been so generous with your comments and your questions inside of our Women Rocking Business Sisterhood, on our fan page, emailing us. And I want to just really speak a word for listening. One of our beloved clients, Zoe Wren, wrote in this morning, Stephen Covey's quote, "Seek to understand first before being understood." And so when I'm doing these Facebook Lives, when I'm putting together like my talking points, I'm always starting with a question, right? Like, what do people want to hear now? And what questions are my people asking the most, right? Many of you have asked, how do I open up a virtual training? How do I open up a video in this climate? What do I say, right? And so we're speaking into that. And so the sooner you can get a Facebook group going, the sooner you can grow your online tribe and be listening to them and asking them questions, and then creating content as a response. Write this down. Creating content as a response gives that content so much more life than just creating content in a closet, right? Sitting behind your computer. Jenny wrote in and asked, I don't want to assume that there's a need for growth, right? I don't want to assume that people need to grow in this certain area. And so Jenny, the response that I have to that is go out there and ask your people. I think that's the biggest mistake we make as entrepreneurs, is we think we have to know. We don't need to know. A true entrepreneur is willing to respond to the circumstances at hand. Since I pivoted my biggest ever event, 3-day event in history, we had over 750 women registered. Since I pivoted that event, I've had more invitations to be interviewed and speak on that experience than ever. I've gotten to speak for Eben Pagan's group. I've gotten to speak for Jeff Walker's group. I just got to speak for an incredible crowd of women in England who are all, scaling their businesses. They wanted to hear, what did I do when I had 2.5 days to take a live event and go online? Right? I've never had so many requests to speak in my life, and it was because one of the most sort of devastating, most challenging things took place. And the reason that virtual event, we went virtual, we had 2.5 days, some of you were there. That virtual event was every bit as successful financially, energetically, from a brand building perspective. It was every bit as successful as our live events. How did we pull that off? We pulled that off by responding. We pulled that off by listening. We pulled that off by staying connected to the group. We were surveying you guys every day. What do you want to do? Should we cancel the event? Here's what we're thinking. What are you thinking? Write this down. Connection is currency, right? And so if you're not feeling inspired, one of the things might be you're not connected enough to your audience. And this piece that Megan's saying around staying out of performance mode is so critical. Megan, I've seen you time and time again set aside what others might be asking of you, set aside the expectations that your last business might have had of you. And I've watched you time and time again come back to yourself. Like, it was no joke for you, Megan, I hope it's okay to say this, to set aside a multi-6-figure business as a business coach and say, I am now standing for queer empowerment. I get goosebumps when I think about the courage, the authenticity, the truth that you stood in. And now, even if there's days where you wonder or doubt what you're doing, you have been so committed. And I think that's the piece, right? It's like we get in there, we choose our message, we choose that thing that's really going to serve people, the sign on the door. And we use that as a doorway to say all the things we want to be able to say. And can you just tell people a little bit more about what you do in the queer empowerment world and what that journey was like, really claiming this is what's mine to say now?
Thank you, Sage. Yeah, for me, I recognize that I really wanted to center my support for the LGBTQ community rather than continuing to focus only on business coaching. I still incorporate some business coaching for them, but it's really about undoing all of the conditioning, all of the learning, all of the patterns that have been created for the LGBTQ people that I work with that are based in really other like norms and what people have expected of them. And so often when I talk to my clients, they're sharing about jobs that they've chosen because they felt like they weren't, good enough for anything else, or not being willing to like speak up and share because they've been told by their family that their voice doesn't matter and they need to stay quiet. And as I started to hear more and more of these stories and feel my own journey with that, I recognized that this is something I'd been working on internally for many years. And I wanted to be able to focus on supporting this particular community to thrive in their relationships and their purposeful work and in their lives, in really getting to design a life that's not rooted in what anyone else says is or isn't possible, but only what they want. And I would say for those of you listening who feel like, oh my gosh, does that mean I need to change my niche or I should do something different because I'm really passionate about this? Like, for some of you, yes, for some of you, that'll be the case, that you want to develop your whole structure around that. For others, it might mean that you're starting to look at, who are you hiring? If you're hiring an assistant, if you're bringing on team members, how can you really get to hire more of the people that you want to be supporting and help them thrive in their lives? How can you be able to raise money for other nonprofit organizations? I know that's something that, Sage has really taught me. I just did a Facebook challenge and I raised money for a Black transgender organization because that's not my specialty. I want to give to people who are already leading in that realm, and it's still in total values alignment. So finding ways that you can really weave your values into your business, which is one of the things that it's like the thing that drew me to Women Rocking Business, because that is really core. I see that in usage and in everything that Women Rocking Business stands for, is to really weave yourself and your values and your authentic expression into everything you do. And I so
Mm.
appreciate all the ways that you've taught me to do that, because now it feels like second nature. And they were all things that I really had to learn about.
Thank you, love. It's been such an honor to grow with you.
Mm.
And for those of you that are interested in checking out Megan's recent Facebook challenge, her 7 days to thrive with pride all year long Facebook challenge, and her incredible content and community, there's a link to her Facebook group in the comment section of this video. I highly recommend you stay in touch with her. And the Facebook challenge model and creating these videos and creating this content inside of Facebook groups and experientifying, gamifying, all the things that you've been seeing us do for weeks or months, however long you guys have been with us. Many of you have seen us embark on these kinds of experiences for learning and for inviting your clients into the door. It's become like one of my passions and something that I kind of obsess about. Like, how do we get the message out online? And Megan, you just started up a Facebook group pretty much from nothing and had an incredible turnout. And what would you say to someone who's thinking about doing an event like that?
Hmm. Yeah, well, I would say get some support here, first of all, because one of the things that I've really learned is that there's a specific structure. There's a lot of beautiful things, and I know, one of the things that I've really gotten, especially from Women Rocking Business, is a whole map that really guided me through exactly all the steps that I needed to do to make that challenge successful. There's a lot of different components that you teach around bringing in more gamification, making it fun and inviting. I had hundreds of comments coming in on the videos, even though the group only had 120 people. So people getting really engaged. It's not about big numbers. This is about you having a structure to be able to totally rock it out and engage with your community, to create that connection and the vulnerability and the openness. And one of the things about Facebook challenges is you can do them in a private Facebook group so that you have that private space where people are gathering. They feel a lot safer, they feel more comfortable, and you're able to share with a lot more depth in multiple days in a row, so that they're really getting to know you and what you have to offer, and then learning how to make an offer. So there's a lot of amazing pieces in a Facebook challenge, and I think it's definitely, let's say it's the one thing that, just combined with Facebook Lives and Facebook Challenge, those two things together have been really crucial to attracting new clients always for me. When I had the multiple six-figure business with like over 1,000 people in the group, to having, just starting a new platform, it works both ways. And yeah, I think it's the great starting place.
Thank you so much. I'm glad that you spoke into that, because I know many of you here are looking to grow online communities. You're looking to launch a movement online. You're looking to stand up and stand out online. And if you'd like more training, if you're interested in that topic, just drop a yes in the comment thread. We're going to be launching a free training in a couple weeks to support you to do just that. So drop a yes in the comment thread. Let us know you're interested. We'll be getting you guys all that information. I want to say thank you to Shailene for being here. Hi, Shelly. Hi, Cindy. Hi, Lisa. Lisa Eddy says, if you're not feeling inspired, you're not connected enough to your audience. Hashtag truth bomb. Thank you, Lisa. Keisha Mitchell says, yes, borrow from others while giving them credit. Borrow quotes from others. Don't forget to give them credit. Borrow as a way, as an inroad to saying what you want to say. Thank you so much, Keisha. Hi, Sarah Adams. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Lisa. Thank you so much for being a part of this conversation. Thank you, more importantly, for not waiting to get out there and say the thing imperfectly. Thank you for not pulling back at this important moment. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for continuing to wake yourself up. Thank you for not staying stuck in complacency or overwhelm. right? Overwhelm's a choice, right? Whenever I start to feel overwhelmed, I think to myself, do I have as much going on as Oprah? Probably not. She figures out a way to do it every day. Then I can too, right? It's like, let's wake up, let's link arms, let's take amazing care of ourselves. Stay plugged in the Women Rocking Business Sisterhood. And if this video resonated with you, it would be my honor to have you share it with any woman that you know this could make a difference for. If you're watching this inside of the Women Rocking Sisterhood group, just invite your friends to join the group, because this video is going to be pinned for several days, all through the weekend. So invite your sisters to join this group, to take part in this conversation, to share this important commitment to not playing small in our business, not selling out on our values, and for getting out there and saying the thing that's ours to say. Megan, thank you for being a stand for truth, for justice. To every single one of you out there, thank you for being a human being. Every single one of you belongs on this planet that we call home together, one global family. Megan, I love you. Thank you so much. And we'll see you guys next week for your
See you
weekly
next week. Love you too, Sage.
business breakthrough. Bye, everyone. And if you got value from this episode, I invite you to hit the subscribe button so that we can get you weekly business trainings in your inbox to help you grow your impact and your income the women's way. Head over into the Women Rocking Business Sisterhood Facebook group and introduce yourself there, because women go so much further when we go together. Just click the button to subscribe, and we will see you on the other side.